So on stream the other week, one of my viewers mentioned that they have a really shitty playgroup. Now, those aren't the exact words they said, but they said that they wanted a playgroup where they'd be able to play Drizzt Do without getting completely domed super early. They mentioned that they needed all kinds of 2-card combos and shit in order to actually have a chance at winning the game when everybody basically suppressed them throughout the entire game. And with the recent changes to Bracket 3, that's no longer even viable in Bracket 3. So what do? Well, we build a better Drizzt deck for them. That's what we do. So the information I was given was that their playgroup is a very speedy playgroup that likes to target them first. This is already kind of a problem because it looks like some of the problems need to be resolved between the people there. But looking at the deck that I was handed, I'm seeing a lot of problems. We have Drizzt as the commander, and he's a commander that wants to be Voltron-y, but he's also very, very slow. We've got a deck with 27 artifacts in it, and 20 of those are equipments. And equipments are, I'm going to be honest, the weakest form of Voltron you can build, because equipments are by their nature very, very slow. There are some really cool equipments like Trailblazers boots that let you have unblockable, and Argentum armor that let you do lots and lots of destruction, but these things cost a ton of mana. The Trailblazer boots cost you 4 mana total in order to gain access to unblockable, but Rogue's Passage does that for the exact same amount of mana. Argentum armor wants you to spend 12 mana to blow up a single permanent. That's a really bad version of Meteor Golem, honestly. We've also got some other areas in here that are fleshed out, like Ozolith and Earth Crystal for 1/1 counters. Drizzt does have the ability to grant himself 1/1 counters, so I guess I can see where you're going with this. We've got Galta and Maverin in here, and I was talking to this viewer, and they said that stuff like this is in here because sometimes they need to go wide instead of go tall. If you're playing a Voltron deck, you should be picking a lane. That's just my opinion. We also have gates in here, and I asked about this too, and they said, well, they have exactly 10 gates in the deck, and the gates are here because sometimes they're basically pillow forwarded out of the game, and they need the gates in order to win the game that way. And I just don't see that as super viable. Like, gates decks are their own thing. Gates as a secondary win condition for a different style of deck feels like it's really, really bad. Then we've got a Taunting Elf in here for the go wide or the go tall strategy. Like, it's not a bad inclusion if you're trying to do both of those, but there are just better ways to do this. Planner Allies here, it lets you go into the dungeon, but I don't know why you would want to go into the dungeon in a deck like this. I don't know what the purpose of that is. Sigardian Paladin, this is a 1/1 counters ability creature. It can give a creature that has 1/1 counters trample and lifelink, but like, this is asking you to spend 7 mana in order to get this effect. It feels really inefficient. And then we've got like Nature's Will, which is a card that I usually put in a big mana deck when you're trying to spend a lot of mana really quickly or spend a lot of mana over the course of a couple turns. This deck is running only 7 instants. So that mana has to be main phase 2 mana, but I'm not thinking of many things I would want to use that main phase 2 mana on, especially when we're a combat deck. So I would rather like spend a lot of time doing nothing in main phase 1, punching in main phase 2 while my opponent doesn't know what options I'm going to be playing down. Like, I don't know, Nature's Will feels like a weird slot to me. We've got the Leyline of Abundance in here, which is for the go wide part of the deck, but this deck is only running 15 creatures. This deck is very confused and all over the place. There's some semblance of what you want, but a lot of just no idea what to do. And we're going to do a quick playtest of the deck and see if it can present lethal by turn 6 or 7. So we're going to open up with a pretty decent hand. We've got a Leyline that's going to auto go down, and we're going to draw our opening cards. We have a Ring of Thune, we have a Gateway Plaza, we have a Command Tower. Okay, so the Gateway Plaza, we can't use that yet. We have to play the Command Tower early, go to the next turn, then we can play the Bountiful Promenade. Actually, no, we have to do the Gateway Plaza now so that we're not sequenced badly. Then we play the Bountiful Promenade, and we could play Plate Armor. I guess that's really the only option we've got. Let's do the Plate Armor, and then next turn, again, let's do the Planner Nexus, and let's go ahead and do Circuitous Route. Again, this feels like I'm trying to play Gates, but not really playing Gates. We'll get the Gone Gate and the Selesnya Guild Gate out so we can play the Ring of Thune, and then I guess we'll go to the next turn. Turn 5, we can finally play the Commander. Let's see, Let's go ahead and get the Commander out, and then this has an equip cost of 1 less for each other equipment we have, so we can't do that. We can do the Ring of Thune, though, and we can go ahead and make the token that this produces. It's turn 6. We get to get a 1/1 counter on our Commander because of our ring. It's got Vigilance. Let's go ahead and play the tapped land that gives us 1 life that's in here for some reason. Sigardian Paladin. As long as we've got 1 or more creatures, we can do 1/1. Like, I guess we could play the Paladin here and then pay 2 mana to throw the plate armor onto Drizzt. And now Drizzt has 3/3, 4/4, 7/7, and can swing with double strike without trample. Like, we've got Sigardian Paladin, but we don't have the ability to spend mana on that ability yet, and we're rapidly running out of cards in our hand. So when we move to turn 7, we can produce lethal on a player now, but if we lose our commander, if we lose anything, we're basically toast. Like, looking at where we're at right now, I can do 1, 2, 3, and that's going to go ahead and power up Drizzt and give it trample. Then we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can give it Spectral Ward. Spectral Ward's going to give it 2/2. So now Drizzt is a 10/10. Yeah, he's a 10/10, and this says, with 1/1 counter, yeah, Drizzt is now a 10/10 and can present lethal on a player if I attacked them last turn and he wasn't blocked. This feels really, really slow. We need to fix this up. It also feels very, very fragile because the individual game pieces, if I were to lose any of these, I don't really have a way to fight back. Like, a Dormant Grove can give me more 1/1 counters, the Branching Evolution can double those counters, but if I lose any of those pieces, I haven't drawn any cards. I haven't gained any card advantage throughout all this. I feel like I'm naked. All right, let's see what we can do with Drizzt as an Enchantress deck. We're going to be leaning super hard into the Go Tall strategy. We're going to be running the same number of creatures, and we're going to be running this as a $20 deck. So, Drizzt got double strike. He makes a green cat when he comes out, and if a creature dies, if it has power greater than Drizzt, then you can get 1/1 counters on Drizzt equal to the difference. Now, the original version of the deck did not have that many ways to kill cards, and if Drizzt fights something with higher power than him, double strike will kill the card, but Drizzt will also die because the card had higher power. Like, if the card has less toughness than Drizzt power, then that can solve that problem, but most cards tend to have somewhat symmetrical power and toughness unless they're a specific kind of card that does not have that. So how can we reliably get Drizzt a ton of power? Well, let's run a bunch of cards that give him lots of power for all the enchantments we're going to be playing. And we're going to be focusing hard on this. We are running 32 enchantments in this deck. Looking at what we've got here, we've got an Ethereal Armor, gives us 1/1 and first strike for every single enchantment we have. Fangs of Colonia gives a 1/1 counter on a creature and then doubles the amount of 1/1 counters on that creature. Tempest Technique gives a creature 1/1 for every enchantment we control, and it has Storm, so we get multiple copies of this. We have Strength of the Harvest to give our creatures 1/1 for every enchantment we control. Eidolon of Countless Battles does the same thing. Elevair grants a roll token that does the same thing, and it gives us a little bit of extra draw, and All That Glitters does the same thing as Ethereal Armor, 1/1 for every artifact or enchantment we control. Now, something I struggled with the original list was trying to figure out exactly how we were planning on presenting lethal to anybody. Not only was the deck only running 33 lands, so we were going to be, toast on lands pretty quickly, not only was it not running a lot of draw, but it just didn't have that many ways of making sure the commander could make it in. Sure, there was a couple ways to give trample, but we need a lot more than that in Voltron. So we're going to be running 10 different ways for our deck to be evasive and get our commander in there, beginning with Angelic Gift. This draws us a card when it comes out, which is great for keeping our hand nice and full, and it gives a creature flying. Feather Flight does the same thing, but it also gives 1/0. Griff Boon does not give us the ability to draw a card, but it does give us the ability to recur it if we need. Holy Mantle gives 2/2 and protection from creatures. This is a very similar ability to what we had in the original deck. Audacity gives 2/0 and trample and the ability to draw. Rancor gives 2/0 and trample and the ability to recur. Cetacean Training draws us a card and gives 1/0 and trample. Skyblade's Boon gives 1/1 and flying. Unflinching Courage gives trample and lifelink and 2/2. And Alpha Authority gives protection and also makes our creature effectively unblockable unless they have exactly one creature able to block it. But if we've got trample, then they're just going to be dying anyway. Let's also address something that Voltron decks need in spades, and that's lots of ways to protect the commander. Now, there were a couple ways like Tamiyo's Safekeeping in the original build, but let's go ahead and flesh those out a little bit more. So we've got Biosynth Burst to give a 1/1 counter to our commander, since we have a little bit of that sub-theme. It'll also give it Reach and untap it. This can give it, it also gives it Indestructible. So this is going to be a thing that blocks our opponents out when they try to swing with a dragon. It's going to be a thing that stops us from dying to board wipes. It's going to provide a lot of utility. Due to Beyond Death does similar, but it just gives Indestructible as long as we sack a creature. Inspiring Call lets us draw a card for every 1/1 counter across our board on creatures. So you'll draw a card per creature that has a 1/1 counter, but most importantly, it gives a creature Indestructible. Kithkin Armor allows us to sacrifice the Kithkin Armor to prevent any damage that would be done to our commander, and it also gives us a pseudo bit of evasion. Shield of the Oversoul also gives our commander evasion with flying and gives it Indestructible. Mirror Shield makes our commander immune to Death Touch and also grants it a bit of protection with Hexproof. Snake Umbra makes our commander have Totem Armor, which is a great way to protect it, and it also gives it a little bit of draw power. And Snakeskin Veil throws a 1/1 counter on our commander and gives it Hexproof if we need it. Many of these auras are on the low side in terms of their mana value, so let's run a Sun Titan to reanimate those auras if we need, and an Unnatural Restoration to get any of them back to our hand if we need them, while also being able to proliferate the 1/1 counters on Drizzt. And that does it for the core strategy of the deck. We are running a basic Enchantress theme with a lot of ways to make our commander evasive or do lots of damage. But we still need a draw engine. I've decided to go with a 12-card draw engine because Enchantress has one of the most efficient draw engines on the planet. There is one card being kept from the original build, though, and that is Halia, mostly because she is a paladin woman, and I have a weakness, but she also grants 1/1 counters and gives us the ability to draw cards when Drizzt punches people in the schnoz. Then we have Elvish Archivist, which says that she gets counters when we throw artifacts on the board, but she can also draw us cards whenever we play an enchantment once per turn. Season of Growth will draw us a card every time we enchant one of our creatures. Stalking the Pantry can draw us cards as long as we are willing to remove supply counters from it. And those supply counters will be gained on Stalking the Pantry when Drizzt gains 1/1 counters, something that the commander just does naturally. Garruk's Uprising will be able to grant trample to our commander and also can draw us a card when it comes out. It'll draw us a card whenever we summon the commander again after dying as well, because the commander comes with the wolf that is just the right power for Garruk's Uprising. Then we have Enchantress's Presence, Viridian Enchantress, Mesa Enchantress, Satyr Enchanter, and all of these draw us a card anytime we cast an enchantment spell. Lifestream's Blessing will allow us to draw cards based on the power of Drizzt and also gain a lot of life if we need it. Pearl Ear, Imperial, and Visor allows us to discount all of our auras pretty heavily, while also letting us draw a card if we get to enchant a modified creature. Modified creatures are creatures that just have any equipment, enchantments, or 1/1 counters on them. Then we have Sage's Reverie, which allows us to draw a card for every aura we have attached to a creature. Then that enchanted creature will gain 1/1 for every aura that is currently attached to it. All of these draw us a lot of cards and should allow us to keep a nice and healthy hand throughout our games. Now, having a straightforward strategy is fantastic, but we also need a way to disrupt our opponent's strategies. So let's go ahead and add a lot of removal, beginning with Cankerbloom. This can make our commander more powerful, but it can also blow up artifacts or enchantments. Reprobation can Oblivion Ring any card. Well, not really. It makes it lose all of its abilities and get a base power and toughness of 0/1, which is not as good as an Oblivion Ring in most situations, but it does allow us to turn off opponents' commanders, which for many people just shuts their entire deck down. Then we have Ruinous Intrusion, which can get rid of an artifact or enchantment, then put its mana value in 1/1 counters on Drizzt. Grasp of Fate, which is an Oblivion Ring for every single player, which is fantastic. Ligmify, which allows us to turn something into a tree folk, the same thing as Retrobation. Then we have Heritage Reclamation, which can blow up an artifact or enchantment or get rid of a card in the graveyard. Gift of the Viper can put a 1/1 counter and a reach counter and a death touch counter on a creature. and then allow us to untap it. Now, this is not removal in the traditional sense, but this can be used to take our tapped commander and turn it into a removal piece for a dragon or other things swinging at us, because we've created an archenemy scenario. Then we have Dismantling Wave, which can blow up one for every player, or all of the artifacts and enchantments on the board. Carnivorous Canopy can blow up an artifact or enchantment, and if it's a small one, it also lets us proliferate. And then we have Gargos, who says that anytime a creature we control becomes the target of a spell, Gargos will fight up to one creature we do not control. So this comes out, and anytime we play an aura, Gargos will auto-fight anything on the board, usually killing it because his numbers are quite big. Then for our board wipes, we're going to be running a Winds of Wrath because it allows us to blow up everything except our commander. Single Combat and Divine Reckoning and Slash the Ranks all do the exact same thing. These all blow up everything except our commander, putting us in a much safer spot whenever we cast a board wipe. Now we've got to talk about the ramp section of the deck, and we need the ramp to be nice, snappy, and quick. So we are going to be running the 1-mana cards of Font of Fertility, Wayfarer's Bauble. Both of these can sacrifice themselves in order to get us a land from the deck. Then we have the 1-mana ramp spell of Wild Growth along with Utopia Sprawl. Both of these enchant a land to make it tap for more. Then we have the 2-mana ramps of Rampant Growth and Farseek, which can grab lands from our deck as we need them. A Jukai Naturalist and a Transcendent Envoy to discount the cost of our enchantments, and a Search for Tomorrow to be a 1-mana spell if we need it, or a 3-mana spell if we need it, but in both cases, it allows us to grab a land from the deck very quickly. Then we have Overgrowth, which can make a land tap for 2. This is much faster than the Circuitous Route, and it gives us mana at the exact same rate. As for lands, we're going with a basic land package, Abandoning the Gates, and we are going for 13 forests and 11 plains, with our dual lands being the untapped Canopy Vista, Fortified Village, Command Tower, Brushland, Sun Petal Grove, and then a Sungrass Prairie, with the tapped Selesnya Sanctuary to reuse any utility lands you may want to put in the deck, and a Temple of Plenty, a utility land that gives us access to scrying early. Let's use just a single fetching land of Evolving Wilds, backed up by a Crozen Verge. We would normally run more than this, but I really want to get this deck down to just brass tacks. So add more stuff if you really want, but I'm sticking with just these guys. And Crozen Verge allows us to tutor out anything in the deck like Canopy Vista, which is just a fantastic way to use a land. And then our utility lands are going to be a Rogue's Passage and a Vitu-Ghazi. Vitu-Ghazi to give us 1/1 green sapperling tokens so that when we have to sacrifice creatures to edict effects, we can use this to protect ourselves, and of course Rogue's Passage so that our commander can make it in and do lots of damage. And that does it for everything in the deck, so all that's left to do is talk about how to play it. Alrighty, let's see what we have as our opening hand. We've got a two ramp spells with Font of Fertility and Wayfarer's Bauble, and 2 lands with an Angelic Gift and a Sun Titan to get it back if we need, and a removal spell in Lignify. I'm actually willing to run with this hand. Let's go ahead and draw. Let's play a Plains, tap it for a Wayfarer's Bauble, then pass to our opponents. Moving into the next turn, let's play another Plains, tap 2, crack the Wayfarer's Bauble, go into the library and grab ourselves a Forest, and then pass to our opponents. Next turn comes up, let's go ahead and play the Plains, and let's tap 3, Font of Fertility, crack, let's go into the library and grab ourselves yet another Forest, and be A-okay. It's turn 4, so it's time to go ahead and tap out and play Drizzt, and get our cat token when we do so. So let's go ahead and pull that little dude out. Boom, there he is. Now we have the cat, we have Drizzt, and if anything dies, Drizzt will get more power. Moving into the next turn, we have a Mesa Enchantress. I think the right thing to do is to pay 3, get the Mesa Enchantress on the board, and then pay 1 and put the Griff's Boon? No. Pay 2 and put the Angelic Gift on Drizzt. That'll draw us 2 cards. And now we can go ahead and play the Fortified Village down and punch somebody for 8 damage. Because our commander has flying now, it's very unlikely somebody's going to be blocking that. Moving into the next turn, we draw a Mirror Shield. Let's pay 1 to put a Griff's Boon on our commander so that he's going to get 1 more power. Let's go ahead and move things around a little bit. That also draws us a card. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana available still. I want our commander to be damn near lethal when we punch someone, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's play Sage's Reverie on our commander. We draw a card because of our Mesa Enchantress, and Sage's Reverie will then draw us a card for every aura on him. 1, 2, 3. Then we get to pay 1 to put Ethereal Armor on our commander. Now, our commander has 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, And 9 plus 3 is 12. Our commander on turn 6 is a flying 12 power commander, which means he attacks a player and they die. No negotiations. We can also play this command tower and tap it for stocking the pantry, which will draw us an extra card. And yeah, that card was a Rogue's Passage. So when we pass, we discard the Selesnya Sanctuary we no longer need, and even if our opponents have flying blockers, for the next player, we just play Rogue's Passage and then tap 1, 2, 3, 4, and we make our commander lethal another player. They're just dead. And if they killed our commander, we bring him back using Sun Titans, or we bring him back and then use Sun Titan to put things like the Ethereal Armor back on him, or just cast things like the Eidolon of Countless Battles from our hand. We have a full hand, we have 1 to 2 dead players, and if the board state looked worse, we have a removal spell in Lignify, and we have a Mirror Shield that can protect our commander. Altogether, we have far more options to protect ourselves with this setup than we did with the original deck. And we have a better amount of land, so we are able to borderline guarantee our land drops later into the game. If you're upgrading the deck, Swiftfoot Boots does give you some better protection than what's currently available in the packages. Fertile Ground is a great way to get more ramp, and speaking of that, you're going to want to run cards like Abyssin's Pilgrim and Birds of Paradise to give yourself access to ramp that can help you dodge edicts. Then you have Sanctum Weaver, which not only does that, but also gives you access to a lot of mana. Armadillo Cloak is the strongest version of the Life Link ability in Magic, and it's just a strict upgrade to something that's already in the deck, because this card has never been errated to say lifelink. It actually stacks with whatever lifelink you have. Rishkar's Expertise is strictly better than Lifestream's Blessing because it gives you access to a free spell cast. Kenrith's Transformation gives you access to more ways to remove things from the board. Gaia's Gift can protect the commander really well. Mantle of Ancients can get all of your important auras back after your commander dies. Ancestral Mask just wins the game on its own. It's really dumb. Eidolon of Blossoms, Sithis Harvest Hand, and Sram the Edificer can all give you access to far better draw power than what's in the deck currently, as can Setesian Champion. Darksteel Mutation gives you another way to put down your opponent's commanders and keep them down almost for good. Umbral Mystic allows you to turn all the auras into protection pieces, and Hall of Heliod's Generosity will allow you to recycle your enchantments when you need them. All in all, this deck is incredibly straightforward, and it should do you far better than the current build for Drizzt that you were running. I think having a commander that has a soft way to dodge edicts and a guaranteed double strike already is pretty good, but being a 5-mana commander does naturally mean he has some weaknesses we have to account for in our deck building. That all said, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you want to pick up this deck, if you want to check out this deck, there is a Moxfield list in the description below, and you can check out the sponsor of this channel, Manapool, in the description below as well. If you pick up this deck through Manapool, then it does end up helping me out a ton, and if you have never used Manapool before, using my link will get you a $5 off coupon for whatever you are picking up. Also, there should now be a tiny URL down there, so you should be able to just click that to purchase this deck instead of having to go through the more problematic process of clicking a deck and then clicking another link, then clicking another link. You should be able to just do one click now. Guys over at Manapool were very helpful with helping me get that set up, so you can just do that now. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Remember to check out my Patreon if you want to see behind the scenes stuff that's going on with the channel, and thank you for watching. I would love to see y'all in the next one. I've made the unfortunate mistake of making all fan art canon, and you guys use that to make a ton of doppelgangers of me that try to ruin my life. So why not go ahead and celebrate that cacophony by picking up the new channel playmat over on Fourth Wall. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video.